Okay, this is Bic Benedict. We're taking a new campaign through Master Ninja difficulty. So here it's asking us if we can overcome the tribulations before us. The answer is going to be yes. I'm going to be taking you through all 18 chapters, starting with this first one, which is The Way of the Ninja. So this is very, very hard mode, which is exactly what it is because we just defeated very hard mode. So this should be your fourth campaign through the game. So at the very outset of this battle, we have a ninja rushing towards us. You can get off a blue charge, but you see I missed there. But then I jabbed at him with the triangle button. You always want to do that when you know an enemy is not dead and they're lying on the ground helpless. You always want to go over to them and press the triangle button. And that quotation right there I'm going to be referencing in the next video. It's a very relevant one, I feel. There are several mandatory fights in this chapter. But the only, and prior to the save point, I'm going to be fleeing from all the battles that are not mandatory because this game is extremely difficult and there are no checkpoints whatsoever. And getting to the first save point can be murder. So I'm going to be taking you through how to do this in the best way possible, in the most practical manner possible too. So you want to head on up here. And up here you're going to be ambushed by two ninjas. When the cutscene ends, head on over to the right and then do a wall run. And then grab this item. This is very important to grab. And then swing off this branch. Sometimes they will throw a shuriken into you. Sometimes you can get away with it. These ninjas here will also rush you. I kind of wait until the last moment and then run past them. But they could tear you up in about 3 hits. You'll just automatically be dead. And that's the reason I flee from these battles, because you die so quickly and there's no checkpoints. So when this cutscene ends, you're going to have 2 more ninjas coming out of this building. You want to run through the area right where I did, and then these ninjas, actually if you double back and try to fight them, they will just disappear. So this is another area where it's not mandatory, but you want to stay in this room and just kill these enemies because there's a treasure box containing a lives of 1,000 gods, which is going to be indispensable for as far as getting a health increase. But this is a perfect example of a room that's way too small, way too cramped, and enemies that are extremely deadly. So you're going to be seeing me do the wall runs quite a bit here, and definitely want to grab this, and you'll immediately notice the first inconsiderate thing that this game does, namely not refilling your health when you get a health extension. So extremely rude, but we're just going to have to bite our tongues on that one. So what I do here is I drag the essence from that room into this room. All you need to do is hold the block button and then roll, and then you have to roll twice, and then always hold the block button though. It expedites that charge. As you saw, I got a blue charge right off. It didn't actually do too much, as you may have noticed, but it does give you a little, it does kind of bolster your self-confidence when you're coming into this room, which is way too small, and the camera angles are very poor, and I think there's about 12, at least a dozen of these red ninjas in here, and they're not hard when it's just one-on-one, but obviously you're facing them 3 at a time in a room that's way too cramped, has no wiggle room, and you can't always see everything because of the poor camera and visibility issues. So this is a very cheap move that I'm doing, and I know it's cheap, but it's going to be taking us through this chapter and to the save point so we could get a sigh of relief and actually have a save point to fall back on, because otherwise if you die you have to start at the very beginning. So it's very frustrating, but this is a very effective way, although it does require a little bit of luck. You see, I'm relying on the health drops to refill my health. I'm not using any of the high potions here, saving those for the boss, so I would not recommend using any potions save for the lesser potions. So you noticed I did run out of the smaller potions, and I'm relying on the health drops for more. And so that room is cleared. That was a nightmare. That's the last mandatory room though. Took a wrong turn there. I'm going to double back. And then when you get in this section here, you want to ignore everything to the left and then just charge past these enemies. And over here there's going to be some more enemies spawning, but you can get this item without any worries. Once you cross the line right over here though, they're going to spawn, so you want to dash into this training area. And this guy actually hit me a couple times, but then just dash in here, save it, breathe a sigh of relief. So now we actually have something to fall back on, namely that save point there. So now I could actually start playing properly, and so can you. So that's the biggest problem with this stage. It's just the restrictions on your gameplay, having a very limited amount of moves that you can do, You can block, you just cannot counterattack, you can't use the Azuna drop, you can't guillotine throw. Just you're very limited. So your weapon is obviously on the very first level, and your health, while we did get it extended a little bit, it's still way too small. So gonna kill those bats, and if you leave a couple of orbs down here, you can expedite a charge up on the stairway. You'll see me do it. That's why I don't take all these orbs. I just leave a couple of them behind, and some of them will fade out before you get up to the top. But the ones you just the ones you just reaped will stay there. So right here, I expedited that charge and took these guys. Well, it didn't take them out, but it dealt some good damage. I'm doing all these sections in stages. So when I clear this section, I'm going to head back to the save point, and then I'm going to do the next section, head to the save point. We're just doing everything in sections, and I'm doing that so I could just keep redoing it, so I don't have to waste any healing potions. So basically what you're seeing here is me trying to do the very best I can, having to do the very best I can, because you don't really have any choice here. So this is the technique scroll, Flying Swallow. It's not going to be very helpful, though, in this cramped little place, though, so it's nice to at least have it. But I am going to double back and save it back into this training room where the enemies never stop spawning. So you always got to be aware of that. So save it. I'm going to head on down there. And falling down in that trapdoor the second time was not a mistake. I did intend to do that fully, because going this way, going back the way you did, see how the blood splatters there? Very beautiful game. So dropping down to this area avoids getting ambushed. So you definitely want to fall back in that trapdoor. Otherwise, you'll get ambushed and potentially get damaged. The only enemies that will spawn here are the ones that do so after you get the interact with this this statue here, insert the fangs, and get the key of courage. So once this cutscene is over, just be aware that there's going to be some more enemies spawning, and always just run past them. I think I got hit a couple of times, but I took it in stride, knowing that I could probably get another health drop with the next set of enemies up ahead. Remember, more enemies spawn here, and in this training room, once again, they never stop spawning, and don't fall through the trapdoor. So just hit the save point. Now we're going to go up here and do another little stage section. There's 2 red ninjas up here. Took a powerful hit there, and normally I don't have to wall spam these guys, but I figured I might as well, because I was really depending on health drops. These guys really are irritating when they're in groups and packs like this, but normally when they're one-on-one, it's not a big deal. So I got a health drop there. See if I can get another health drop there. Nice. So almost at full health. I'm not going to go into the next room until I save it, though, because I want to save all my progress, and I don't want to use any healing items. So I have 2 high potions and 2 low. That's going to carry me into the boss battle. So up ahead in this mandatory room, I'm going to fight everything. You have to, but I'm not going to use any potions. So if I die, I die. I'll just start back at the save point, but I'm not going to use any potions because this is actually the second time I'm doing this guide. So I did beat Murai last time with 2 and 2, and it was enough, but I didn't want to take it any lower than that. So having 2 highs and 2 lows is pretty good for having, at least for the potions. So this is pretty much the same area where we fought. I mean, the same enemies in that mandatory room with all the dozens of ninjas that does impact there. This is a better room because there's a lot more room to move around in. The camera issues aren't so bad. I think there's about half, so there's probably about 6 ninjas here, roundabout. And I'm just doing the jumping off the wall, somersaulting backwards, pressing triangle. It's very safe to do that, and it is cheap. I know it's cheap. I'm not going to say that it isn't, because I know it full well it is cheap. It's the cheapest thing you could possibly do, but there's nothing. I mean, there's nothing fair about this level. Nothing whatsoever. It is itself cheap, so I don't mind repaying that cheapness with my own cheapness. So head on over here, hit the save point. You definitely want to do this because you don't want to fight Murai, die, and then have to fight all those ninjas again in that room. So we're coming up on Murai now, and he's pretty formidable. And the boss component is such in this game where it's not just a boss. A boss in Ninja Gaiden means a boss and lackeys or helpers. So the boss component in this game You just have to get used to it. There's a couple bosses that are alone, but the large majority of the bosses always have helpers with them. Sometimes it actually, if you get used to it, it's actually pretty good because you can sometimes absorb their essence and then hit the boss with it. But Murai is immune to ultimate techniques such as that one that I just did. So I'm just going to be jumping off the wall, hitting him, and when you come down, you want to immediately roll away because his weapon is very fast. And he's just very, very aggressive, although he does kind of walk around and kind of seem like he's not aggressive, but when you get close to him, he'll really tear into you. So this is a very tried and true method. The lackeys will come back. See, they just drop back in. Their spawns are triggered by you taking a certain amount of health off the boss. So I think there are actually 4 spawns that drop in. The last pack, you could pretty much get away with just killing Murai, and then you don't have to kill the red ninjas. So this is very stressful. I haven't used any of this, so this was actually a good take at first. Everything was going really well for me. I hadn't had to use any potions, but things, they could take a bad turn really quickly in this game. So it's just very stressful. The music makes you more tense than you normally would be, and having these ninjas keep throwing in Shindiri shurikens at you is just really problematic. And then the ever-present threat of Murai just kind of skulking about, and you have to be constantly on guard to evade his hits, which are really powerful hits. So I have seen other people do, regular combos on him and stuff, but this is a really, I'm trying to take people through this game in the safest way, the best way possible for like the average person out there who just can't do it. And this is the only way that I can do this. I can't beat him the other way, so you have to know your limitations when you're playing a video game, and especially on Master Ninja difficulty, where things are stacked up against you to just an insane degree. So this is the last set of lackeys that are going to spawn. So you can just focus on Murai here. You see I'm getting damaged, falling back on those high potions, really depending on those to refill my life all the way back up. These guys are they're just very aggressive. So just kind of just keep doing the wall dashes, somersault backwards, hit triangle, and just be aware that this last set you don't have to kill them. You just need to kill Murai, and also realize that you don't have to take his health all the way down. I don't know what percentage of his health needs to be destroyed, but his purple bar of health does not have to be completely taken down. So it's kind of a psychological mind game that the game does with you. So just kind of bear with that. That might actually not have been the last set of lackeys. This was a very long fight because I was trying to play it as safe as I possibly could here, and you see I have no more potions left, so I have to do well at this point. Remember, the UTs are ineffective against this guy. Flying swallows are normally ineffective, although I have seen people trying to swallow him off of his rolls, but that's very risky. This is way too much risk here to do anything other than this strategy. But if you can, that's awesome. The more the merrier. The more the better for you. I'm happy for you if you can do that. I'm just trying to clear this game and help others clear the game and get through this very, very difficult mode of play.